I am actually at the first stop of our 20-city Proud Tour. The first one is North Palm Beach, here with these two amazing women. I don't know, when you get us together, we're three feral people.
This has been the joy, really one of the joys of my life, being able to do this alongside you guys.
Do you realize that it's going to take 18 to 22 years before I know if I did a good job?
I find it unbelievable, quite honestly. I sometimes I'm like, how did this happen?
I think the decision to open the gym, there was a definite yes, I want to do this, but I want people to also understand there were a lot of reasons to say no.
We went to middle high school together.
Okay, where does this all start?
I could tell some stories.
Somewhere. Okay.
I could tell some stories.
Yeah.
Podcast appropriate stories, or are these?
I mean, anyone who's around me knows I can talk to pretty much anyone. I talk to myself a lot.
If you really lived out those two principles, you're going to have an amazing team that never wants to leave you.
All right, Burn Nation, welcome back to the Burn Boot Camp podcast. You have an amazing treat here today. I am actually at the first stop of our 20-city Proud Tour. As you know, you've probably heard about the announcement. If not, 20 cities from now until June. The first one is North Palm Beach, here with these two amazing women. They're going to share their own stories, but I just wanted to comment and give some color to who they are and who you're going to hear from for, I don't know, when you get us together. We're three feral people. I don't know how long we'll go, but we're gonna really dive into their business story, their biography, their background, their business partnership, what the Burn Boot Camp community means to them, why they get up every day and do what they do, what keeps them motivated and going, their family values. And who knows, maybe a few tangents in there too. But Gilda Green and Emily Edwards are business partners here at the North Palm Beach location. And Gilda and Chris Green are franchise partners, really OG franchise partners of Jupiter, Florida and Stuart, Florida. And we go way back, Gilda. I mean, I'm going to let you tell the story because this is your podcast. I am chomping at the bit to tell it because it's cool. You know, we met a long time ago through Shackley, and I still take my Shackley Vitalizer today. Yes. And then you eventually, Emily, the story of how we met is actually so crazy too. So stick around for that. But, we're here. Gilda connected us, Emily. And so it's just an opportunity for us to pull up and to get to know you guys better. The franchise partner podcasts have been doing really well, I think, because members want to know all the things about who you are and what makes you motivated to wake up every day and do this really hard, but also really rewarding thing called Burn Boot Camp. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to kick it over to Gilda. Gilda, I just want to hear some biography first. We're going to go biography with both of them so you guys can get to know them. And like I said, we'll transition into some more business partnership. But Gilda, wherever you want to start, let's hear your story. The space is yours. Tell us how you got to this chair here right now on the Burn Boot Camp podcast.
Well, hello, Burn Nation. It's such a pleasure to be with you guys today. And my name is Gilda Green, and my husband and I were introduced to Burn through Morgan and Devan personally. So we've known Morgan and Devan.
It's got to be
15 years.
Yeah.
No more.
Let's see.
Sorry.
I moved to Charlotte in 2011 in November. My first full year was 2012, and I believe we joined Shackley in 2013.
So we met in 2013.
2013, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
A long time ago. So they were just getting started, and it was just really cool to see this amazing, beautiful young couple kind of pursue their dreams. And I watched it go from the parking lot to your first few locations. And I got really excited about the brand when I saw that the women that you were training just in a parking lot all wanted to be franchise partners, and they all branched out and went all over the nation to open their own burn boot camps. And I'm a Christian, so I was really praying and asking the Lord for a way out of my career at the time. I was working on Wall Street. I spent 18 years working in the financial industry as an investment banker and then in sales and trading. And was just not fulfilled by my job at all. I was very much working for a paycheck, and really started seeking the Lord on what's next for me, what's next for us, and our purpose. I wanted to make an impact, and the Lord really highlighted Burn Boot Camp as the vehicle he wanted to use to create communities, wherever it is we were going to go, where people would really feel the love of Jesus and know him. And it's not about preaching in the gyms or anything like that, but our gyms are really consecrated to the Lord. And I feel like it's the difference maker when people walk through our doors and like, there's just something about this place.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is, but really just trying to lay the foundation for a culture where people can love on one another and be there for one another and empower one another, inspire one another, and they can become the best version of themselves. And so that's the Lord used this amazing platform, Devan, that you and Morgan started to do that. And now we're 3 gyms in. This has been the joy, really one of the joys of my life, being able to do this alongside you guys and create these communities. It's a number, I think we have close to 1,500 members across all 3 gyms. And the stories of just, transformational change, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's spiritual, are unbelievable. And that's what keeps me doing what I do. I love what I do because of the impact it makes on people and their families. And like Emily mentioned today in camp, when you change your life, you pay it forward, you change somebody else's life. And it just goes on and on and on. So when I think about Burn Boot Camp in our communities, it's really about changing the community one person at a time.
Yeah, it is. And do you remember did I ever tell you the story about how the prerequisite meeting to be able to meet you, that Brooke Thomas and I met in a local Starbucks, and she brought me onto her Shackley team in local Starbucks. And then it was a couple months later, I think, out in California where we first met. And then we all ended up getting an incentive trip and going on a cruise together.
We've been to many together.
Many incentive trips by now. Over a decade in. Yes, definitely. And I remember I was training on the pool deck, and it was you and your sister who happened to be pregnant at the No, it was
I was
you
pregnant.
were pregnant at the time.
I was pregnant, yeah.
Your sister was there, and
Chris was there.
Heather and Joe Hirsch were there.
Hirsch were there.
And we all did like a Burn Boot Camp workout on like the party pool deck where they do the the cucaracha later that evening. And it was just that was a memorable moment for us being on that cruise together, like locked on a boat in the middle of the sea together. And
crazy.
I think that's what really drove our relationship.
Yeah,
and we
absolutely.
Yeah, we really started becoming friends from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Joe and Heather Hirsch bought their franchises. And I think you said we are OGs. We were number 99.
99.
Stuart was number 99.
Gosh.
And I know it's crazy.
Someone pinch us.
I know.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Okay. So that's a good start. Thank you. And then, so Emily, I'll kick it to you now. And now, same thing, 5 minutes, biography, background, wherever you want to take us. Let us get to know you a little bit.
Okay. So I'm Emily Edwards. I started probably a little bit different. I was in corporate America. I was a pharmaceutical rep. I was climbing the corporate ladder and absolutely love that. I've always been a very much perfectionist, type A, grind it, get it done no matter. Always loved working I was never satisfied. It was always the next step, the next step. I actually told my husband when we got married, I said, I will give you 2 kids. I will never be a stay-at-home mom. All of his sister-in-laws and his mom were stay-at-home. And my mother-in-law had this really sweet Southern accent. I remember she was at my house one day and she was like, oh my gosh, it's almost 11. I got to get home to make Charles's lunch. And I was like, I will never do that for you, ever.
Trent's awesome, by the way.
He is.
I worked out with him today.
Listen, if he can last 25 years with me, he's amazing. So, I said to him, I go, I will never be a stay-at-home mom. I want to climb the corporate ladder. It was what fueled me. So, worked at Merck Pharmaceuticals, was the #1 sales rep after like a year and a half there. On the stage a lot, loved every bit of it. And then had my first son. I actually had 6 months of PTO, maternity leave. I took 4 weeks of it. I stayed home 4 weeks. I was like, I got to get back out there. Went back, started working. And same thing as Gilda, I'm a Christian. And I just, at about 9 months, 10 months in, I started to just feel this tug like, you're supposed to stay home. You're supposed to stay home. You're supposed to stay home. And I remember going to Trent and saying, I got to stay home. He's like, oh. like, you make 50%, like, 40% of our income. Like, how's this going to work? And I'm like, I just really feel like I'm supposed to stay home. But I was not someone who really wanted to stay home. And I dealt with a lot of guilt with that. But I obeyed and I stayed home. The shocker now is that I have 5 children. I homeschooled.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yes,
there you go.
I told you I was a high achiever. I had 5 children and I homeschooled. So, that was a huge change in our life. But really, the moment I stayed home, I dealt with a lot of guilt because I was looking around and I knew there were so many women who wanted to be in my place. They wanted to stay home. They wanted to that. But it wasn't something that I wanted. And that was something that I really had to come to terms with, to say, it's okay to sit in this place of guilt and also love being a stay-at-home mom. So I loved doing it, but I really missed the accolades. I really missed being able to perform. And I said to Trent one day, I said, because he was, why are you struggling? I said, do you realize that it's going to take 18 to 22 years before I know if I did a good job? Like, that's how long we sit in motherhood before we really know, when we launch them, if you've done a good job. And that was a really, a hard place. But I never felt comfortable speaking that out loud or saying that, because I dealt with this guilt of you get to be home and we're called to be mothers and you should love being a mother, which I did. I mean, listen, my job as a mother is the most fulfilling thing. Burn is second. And I loved it. And I don't want anyone to hear me say something different. I want to make that very clear, that I loved being home. I loved being with my children. I love that.
And she's an amazing mom.
Thank you.
Amazing mom.
And I've raised amazing humans, but I would be lying if I didn't speak that was really hard to give up that. And I remember I would walk into places and I would be Pace's mom. I was no longer Emily. I wasn't, these titles. I was Pace's mom, which is a huge honor. And I was being told by everybody, motherhood's the greatest thing. It's the greatest blessing it is. And it is. But how do you sit in this place where you also felt like you had lost kind of this piece of you? And I, for years, tried to figure out, how do I get back to where I am doing a great job as a mom, but I'm also doing a great job outside of being a mom, where it's something that is independent of that. And I was seeking that and looking for that. And yeah, I did all these great things. I was homeschooling and I was raising great kids. I was doing laundry, but I was like, what am I doing that is me performing? That's me. That's not involved in this world. And that was a big struggle for me. I also found myself in a really lonely place. And I have been, anyone who's around me knows I can talk to pretty much anyone. I talk to myself a lot. And I'm a really social person. I feed off of people's energy. And so being at home, and that it gets lonely. But what I started to find was my friends were always dependent upon my children's stage of life, right? My friends were the preschool moms my kids were in school with, and then whatever homeschool group, whatever sports team they were. And I kind of went through this place in life where it was like, I didn't really get to choose my friends. They were chosen by my kids. Wonderful, beautiful friendships that I had, but no one that I was shoulder to shoulder with going through moments that I was choosing. And so when I remember my oldest 2 were middle school, and you go from like hanging out at their play dates to dropping them off, all of a sudden the reality hit me, like, I don't really have these really close, deep friendships that I thought I had. And I don't really know what I'm really good at anymore. And it was hard. So, I found Burn because Gilda and I had kind of connected on Facebook. We went to high school together. We went to middle school and high school together.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
We went to middle high school together.
Okay, where does this all
I
start?
could tell some stories.
Somewhere. Okay.
I could tell some stories.
Yeah.
Podcast appropriate stories, or are these back green room stories that we get off air?
Podcast appropriate. Emily is a wildcat.
I was
so fun.
A wildcat.
So fun.
That's a gentle, nice way of putting it that way. I appreciate that. So I sent her a Facebook message and I was like, hey, I see you've opened this gym. Not really a gym person. I'm a big outdoor runner, swimmer, cyclist type of person, but I'm really looking for some community. And I said, I don't want to come into a gym where everybody has to look a certain way. I don't want to, come into a gym where it's really cliquey. And she's like, you just have to try it. So I walked in, did my first camp. Andrea trained it. I threw up in the middle bathroom in Jupiter. Right in the middle of body weight conditioning. I puked everywhere. I actually signed an 18-month membership that day on the spot.
Nice.
I went home.
So you are a wildcat.
Yes,
we get
total
it.
wildcat.
Now we're starting to get
Threw
your
up
personality.
and was like, all right, I'm signing. I went home. I told my husband, he was like, thanks for talking to me about that.
I think you were shocked too because you were like, I'm in really good shape.
I'm in really good shape.
Right? I'm
yes,
in really
I
good
was
shape.
a
How did
big,
this happen?
I was a big marathon runner. I was a triathlete.
Not in
I'd
burn
done all that.
shape.
I was,
Exactly.
and I walked
Different
in
level.
like, oh yeah, whatever. And I was like, yeah. So threw up. And anyways, I went home and I came back, day after day, just like everybody else's story. And what I found was when I walked in those doors, I was still Pace's mom, but I was now Emily.
Mm-hmm.
And so to hear my name, Emily, I was able to live in both of those worlds for the first time and really live in them in a place of being really proud of myself. That I'm a really good mom, but I was able to do that. And anyways,
And I want to interject here.
Please.
Because can I tell it from my perspective?
I want you. This
So
is your podcast.
I hadn't talked to Emily in a long time.
yeah.
And she actually didn't say I was looking for community. She goes, I don't want to go to a gym where there's a bunch of mirrors and people looking at me
Yeah.
and, the side eye from the wind. I go, that's not this gym.
Yeah.
I go, I fire members if
Yeah.
they're those
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And I do. I've only had to fire one. But so she did come in and she found her community there. But, obviously now 3 gyms in, you get really good at finding talent and you get really good at identifying in people like that have that burn culture inside of them. And I, high performer, she's good at everything she does. And just watching her just become part of the community and just wanting to be there. She actually approached me and said, I'll mop the floors here. I just want to work here. And she started as a BA.
No, I started as a trainer, but this is a funny story. I started as a trainer. Yes. So they had put out like a advertisement, like looking for a trainer, and they had put it on our VIP page.
Yes.
And I responded exactly like this, me, ha, 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 LOL. And I did that because I was like, that's my way of saying me, but gives them the opportunity to say no. Like, I didn't want to put myself out there and then be like, yeah, no. But then it was this like, okay, if I put the ha, 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 LOL, and they say no, I was joking anyways. I didn't really want to be one. But if they said yes. So then I walked in the door right after I posted that. And Alexis was like,
You're going to be
I saw your comment.
Yes.
Are you interested? And then Andrea approached me. I was like, okay, I have never done anything like this in my life. I think the bicep is connected somehow to the tricep, but I know nothing. But what I do have is a lot of heart. So that was how it began.
Yes, right. And then she took her test. She passed the whole thing. She became one of the best trainers at Jupiter. And then
The bike accident.
And then she started kind of working the front desk as well. So I'm watching her going, she really has all the qualities of a franchise partner. She's got like the love for burn. She bleeds blue. She was interested. She was willing to do whatever it took. And that's what you really need in a franchise partner, right? So Chris and I didn't have any plans to necessarily do a third one. But again, the Lord has his plans. And just in prayer time, it was just really clear that he was asking us to expand the territory and bring community into a new territory. And so what I prayed and what I told the Lord is, I can't do this. We can't do this alone. We're going to need a partner. And immediately it just became really clear that Emily was that person. So that's how, we had dinner with her and Trent, and we asked them, would you be interested in joining up and doing a third location with us? And that's how we're here now. So it's really cool how it all worked out. And she came through our doors looking for community or looking for like not the side eye and not the mirrors and not this, but really now is walking and just in her gifting as a trainer, as you saw today. She's an incredible trainer and she's just such a community builder, and she's the heart of this gym, quite honestly.
I mean, it was an amazing camp.
Thank you.
And I told you that in private right afterwards. And we'll get to know each other more and more and more. We're starting to become, and Gilda and I she knows like we're very honest with each other. Gilda and I, we have a relationship in which honesty is accountability, and accountability is what high performers want, and high performers want to be around other people that will hold themselves accountable. And it's just a great cycle. Well, somewhere in there, I'm going to the Charlotte airport. I'm getting ready to fly.
Yes.
On a plane, and you guys know my personality by now. I'm pretty loud. And so I get on to you do the story.
Okay. So
you do the story because your perspective is
I was a
fun.
brand new trainer, and I think it was actually going to be like my first or second time running a full camp on the mic. So as all of us in Trainer Nation do when we're first starting, we study that workout for days and days, and you're repeating it in your head, repeating your head. So I just finished watching my oldest son swim in NCAAs. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm taking the shuttle bus from the Charlotte Airport parking lot, and I'm on the bus by myself with my youngest son, and I'm sitting there watching Matt's videos, and then I'm trying to memorize and say this thing over and over. And these 3 people get on the bus, and I hear them get on the bus, and they sit in the back. And this one person is so loud that I cannot hear myself even think or talk. So I went to give the massive stink eye, the shut up. And I look up and I'm like, it's Devan Klein. So I think I said, hey, you're Devan Klein. And you're at the back of the bus and you're like, I am. Who are you? And I'm like, I'm a trainer that needs to train tomorrow. And you're talking too loud. And I need you to be quiet. And you said,
you did say that on your very first interaction. And I was like, I like her a lot.
Yeah. And I was like, great. This is Direct 101. This is Emily. Yeah. And I'm like, I train for Gilda. I train in Jupiter, and I have to nail this. So you've got to stop talking so loud. And I remember I had one piece of clothing left in my suitcase, and it was a burn shirt. Remember that? And I said, I go, I actually am burn branded. And I said, I got a sweat. I had a tank top on or something like that or whatever. And so, yeah, that was, I think, how we first actually met was on that bus.
And I was like, yes, ma'am, because I know you have to go back and train at Gilda's gym, and she's not playing around. So
you were like, I just
Andrea, and I had to go back to Andrea and Gilda. So yeah.
So Gilda, how does it feel to you to have built something in which, you didn't really know that you were going to build something in which, somebody that you had known for decades would come find, and then you'd eventually be business partners? I'd imagine it's somewhat of a interesting, at the very least, feeling for you to have built something, follow God's plan, and now all of a sudden, you and Emily, who went to high school together, are now running a gym together. How does that make you feel to make all that possible, I guess is a good way to put it?
I mean, the Lord made it possible, quite honestly. I mean, it's just, I kind of got in the flow with things with him. And I mean, I work hard. I'm type A like her. We're really similarly made.
We're so similar, but we're so different in our
similar and different
giftings with being franchise partners.
Yeah. So I find it unbelievable, quite honestly. I sometimes I'm like, how did this happen? I mean, I know how to happen is a lot of hard work and learning. I'm a lifelong learner. I really believe in, you never become an expert. You never arrive. And I think that the reason we've been so successful is I'm always looking to do better. I'm always looking for, someone that's doing it better, and I want to learn from them. I'm surprised by it, quite honestly. And I just think it's reflective of the goodness of God. Like when you do what he's asking you to do, like he blesses it. And his hand is on it, and his hand is on these gyms. And every day, I just feel very blessed. I feel very blessed and very grateful, full of gratitude that I get to wake up and do this every single day. And my role has changed. When you first start, I lived at the gym. I literally would leave my house at 3:30 in the morning to open up Burn Stewart. That's 40 minutes away or 35 minutes away from my house, and I wouldn't get home till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. So that's how I started as a franchise partner, and my roles evolved. Now, she's really the face of the gym, and I'm, with 3 gyms, the CFO, the this, or that, running payroll, doing all those things. And I still come, I work out, but she's the one that's really running the gym day in, day out with our teams. So it's a privilege. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to do what we do.
I think one thing to add was, I think the decision to open the gym, it wasn't something that was flippant. It wasn't like, oh, we just sat down at dinner and she approached it. It was like a yes. There was a definite yes, I want to do this. But I want people to also understand it wasn't, there's a lot of things there were a lot of reasons to say no. There were a lot of reasons for my husband and I to say no. There were a lot of reasons to say yes, but it wasn't a casual decision that we made.
A lot of prayer.
A lot of prayer and a lot of things. And I think, I was coming to the tail end of raising 5 kids. I was like, wow, I'm going to get to go on vacations. And, I was getting ready to send my second and third kids off to college, and I was kind of seeing the end of that tunnel. But also, you're taking on a risk. I mean, I'm signing a lease, I'm personal guaranteeing, there's spot. So there was all of these reasons for us, for Trent and I to say no. I didn't feel like I had to say yes, and there were a lot of reasons to say no to this. There were some things going on within our family and things for me to say no. And then there was also the piece of Burn Jupiter was like my community. I mean, I don't want to miss that piece, I think, in this conversation too, in that, I mean, I had been shoulder to shoulder, battle ropes, shoulder to shoulder, and yes, mopping floors. I had started as a member. All my closest friends were there. I was training the same camps with the same people. I had invested in these members, and I loved my job there. I loved the team I worked with. And I remember saying, if I say yes to this, I have to leave this. Like, I have to extract myself out of this community. And that was really, really challenging for me. A lot of tears. And I remember saying to Gilda and to Andrea and the training team, I will only do this if I can stay on the training team at Jupiter. And I was like, I'm going to train 50-50. And I was telling myself that.
And that's not really going to work.
And I remember Alexis and Andrea saying, you think that's going to work, but it's not. I'm like, I'm a high achiever. I can do anything. Yeah. And I really thought that's what I was going to do. I tried it for the first.
Yes, she did. She did do it for a couple months.
I did. Yeah. And I remember when we were trying to build the team here, and every person I looked at, I was putting them against the backdrop of the team at Jupiter because they were so excellent. And I had been poured into and I had loved, and I had found who I was in that gym again. And so it was really hard to think about leaving that. And then starting here, I remember sitting here and thinking, 5:30 a.m. camp's going on there, and I'm running 5:30 a.m. and I don't know these people. But I kept thinking but it is now my time to pour back out. I had been poured in, and my cup was so full that I was now ready to step in and pour out into people here and build a community here. And every day it got easier and easier and easier, not because I ever forgot where I came from or forgot what I had there, but because I kept just moving forward, and that no decision that we had turned into a yes became more and more evident of why that yes was that yes, and that yes, and the yes. So I don't want to skip over that part that it was like, we went to dinner and we just said yes. There was a lot of reasons why not to do this, but the overwhelming sense of God was really like, look, you found this, you got to be part of this, you've been a part of this, you've been poured into, now it's time for you to pour. And so today, 365 days later, and standing up there and looking around, we had so many Jupiter members, which filled my heart, because I was like, oh my gosh, they came here for me, and to be able to train them again alongside the community that we've built here was just a really special moment for me, and feeling like I walked in obedience. And I walked to my husband, I said, I think we'll be able to pay our rent for those 5 years. No, that personal guarantee. No, in all seriousness, all of those reasons to say no are so far in the distance. So,
yeah. And it really, it created such a camaraderie between, we call our gyms now Burn SoFlo.
Got it. All right.
Emily branded us.
This is new to me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we're Burn SoFlo,
Okay.
Stuart, Jupiter, and
so I'll be part of the cool kids.
Yeah.
SoFlo.
Yeah. So Emily really spearheaded that, and there's just beautiful camaraderie and just a team spirit between all three of our gyms. There's just a lot of love between our staff. There's no competition. There's no, we really want the best for one another and each location. And it's true. It's like the tide rises, all boats, right? Rise with it. And that's kind of our mentality when it comes to all these gyms.
It was funny. Someone asked me yesterday, are you nervous? Are you nervous? Devan's coming. You're training in front of Devan. Are you nervous? I had a member ask me that. And I pulled Andrea aside, and then I texted Andrea and Rebecca, the head trainers at Jupiter, and Stuart. And I said, before it gets crazy today, I want to tell you this. I'm not nervous to train in front of Devan. It doesn't make me nervous to train you. What made me really nervous today was to have Rebecca and Andrea here.
Awesome.
And I'll tell you why. Jupiter and Stuart, you've been to Jupiter, you've been to Stuart. They're very much like a gold standard in Burn. They run phenomenal gyms. And I said, I feel nervous because I am trying to uphold that standard. We have a reputation to keep, and now it's on me. So I said, you two are making me nervous because I'm trying to make you two proud. You guys have invested in me over these last 4.5 years, and now it's my turn to show what this third SoFlo gym is about. So, it's funny. I was like, that's what I was nervous about today, was making Jupiter members that were here proud, the Jupiter staff proud, the Stewart staff proud, those people, because they've poured into me, and I wanted to show them like, hey, that was worth it, and now I'm going to pour out, and I want you to be proud of me kind of carrying this on.
I think I speak for all 3 gyms. We're very proud.
Oh, thank you.
It was
Yes.
It was fire. It was fire.
when I looked at them after camp and said thank you for leading the way and essentially training Emily.
Yeah.
They both had tears in the corner of their eyes. I saw it because it means a lot to them on what you just said. And Gilda, this, as you guys are talking, I'm making an observation, and the observation is that what I've noticed outside of Burn is entrepreneurs will like chronically complain about like other, their employees going and maybe working in other places. We've never taken that posture. It's always been, it's your responsibility to create such an amazing environment at your business, at your place. It's your responsibility, if you want people to be around you, to create an amazing environment, whether it's your family or your business, right? And one thing that I notice is like, not only you've done such a great job with leadership and creating such a great team underneath you that Emily she didn't even want to leave Jupiter to stay in the same company and go somewhere else. Because it was that enjoyable
We're a family.
of an experience.
We're a family.
So I want to ask you this. That in all businesses, you take 1,000 businesses, about 980 will think the former way, and about 20 will think the latter way, which means it's very rare. What leadership attributes would you say that you have, and would you say that you instilled into your team to create that solid foundation underneath you? Because you're so right. When I came to Stewart for the first time, you are much more involved in the day-to-day than you are today. And that's a sign of great leadership, that you can grow your business. It gets a little bit easier, and you can, increase your level of responsibility or something like that. So I just wanted to hear you comment on and maybe just answer that question around what attributes do you think that you've had? Can you teach maybe those who are trying to be a leader for their family, be a leader for their organization, be a leader at school? Where do we start? Where did you start? And why was it so hard for Emily to even think about going anywhere else?
Love people well. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
And treat people the way you want to be treated. I think that if you really lived out those 2 principles, you're going to have an amazing team that never wants to leave you. And if you instill that in them and instill that servant heart, right? Like that's how I try to lead every single day, is as a servant to others, and not as the boss, not as this, but just loving people well, seeing the giftings in them and trying to pull that out of them.
I love that.
And
it's because so many people they look at people and they see the ugly side of them. They don't see the God of them.
We all have the
We all have that.
we all have the bad habits of this and that. But what I really try to focus on with every single one of our employees is like, what is their gifting? What do they really shine in? And kind of ignore the rest and just really try to pull that out of them. And I think that that's with my leadership team, that's something I've tried to really instill in them too. And it's created this family dynamic. I think we trust each other. We love each other. We truly care for one another. And that's kind of how I see leadership and running these places. It's not just an employee. It's a person, with a family and a myriad of things going on in their lives too. And I try to lead from that angle, seeing people for who they really are and loving them well and serving them. And not to say, it's kind of a free for all and you get to do what you want to do. But it's funny when you start with that, people perform at a higher level for you.
Absolutely.
Where do you think people go wrong? What's the other side of that coin?
I think the other side of that coin is just seeing somebody as an employee.
Yes.
And not a person.
Yeah. Like, you're here to do it. You're here to do a job.
You're here to do a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't, that's not me. That's how I live my life. So.
Yeah. You've created a transformational leadership group. And Emily, what did you notice that was different about stepping into Jupiter for the first time? And then I'll get off this question. But what did you notice about stepping into Jupiter for the first time that was, hey, it's different here? When she said this is different, like just come try it, she wasn't lying.
Yeah, and like I said, I walked in and I know we talk about the names thing, right? We talk about like, you know, everyone's like, how do you know everybody's names? How do you know everybody's name? And you don't realize like how important that is. I think especially to moms and to women to hear someone say your name, you know, because you become mom. You become this, and to hear someone say your name. And so Jupiter, you know, they were there, they high-five you, they take the name. I mean, it was just a moment where I walked in that door and I was like, wow, like someone is making contact with me. They're making eye contact with this. And again, I was a very social, it wasn't like I was sitting at home not doing anything, but just to be able to be me in that moment. But also, it wasn't just that first day. It was the next camp and the next camp and the next camp. You come back and it wasn't just, hey, Emily. There was a question about, how did Pace's swim meet go? How was, your vacation to this? What is going on with this? Oh, I saw you got new shoes. I mean, they just recognize the details.
We were talking about that.
We were talking,
camp.
yes. Yeah.
Why don't you go over that conversation?
Again, evolving and, watching, well, let me back up. I know we say we're people first. I mean, it's on, everything we talk about, it's one of the core values, people first. I think when you really peel back the layers of people first and you peel back the layers of the name, it's not that we know people's names, we know the people. And that's what I try to tell my trainers. That's
a company thing, but you guys said it in tandem. Yeah.
What I've tried to instill in my trainers, which is what I was taught and what has come down is you will know their name because their story is imprinted on your heart. And when you know the person, the name is just their identifier. Correct. And so, that's good. It is. And and I think about it, I'm like, words build worlds. I heard that the other day, like your words is going to build someone's world. The things
Life
that
and
you
death is
say
in the
to
power
them,
of the tongue.
It is. And so like when you say things to people and you talk to them as if you know them and you know something about them and you invest in them, their world in that moment changes. And so you're building a sense of world around them. And what does that world look like? And so they did that very well at Stewart. They then did it very well at Jupiter. And that's what we're emulating here. And so I think Gilda's the type of person that when you stop to talk to her, she looks at you in the eye. She's not looking around the room. She's not looking at her watch. She's invested in that conversation. She's going to ask you something about yourself. And that's the other thing that I think we've kind of, we're flipping the script with is that, so often we hear the stories of what Burn has done for us. Like Burn's done this, Burn's that, which is amazing to hear from our members. As a leadership team and as the staff, our job is to now not what has Burn done for us, but what is Burn going to do for them? And so we walk around like, I love that Burn's doing that for them, but I'm not going to walk around going, yeah, Burn did something for me when I first walked in the doors. Now what am I going to do for my members through Burn? So I just think it's that continuing of doing that. I think it's really important. And that's what I said. I said, I don't really, if my trainer just knows their name, I'm not giving them the check on the checklist. I don't care.
You want them to know their
I want them to know their story and their people. And I pride myself in that I really know my members and their story.
Anything to add to that, Gilda?
No, I completely agree. And that's like knowing someone's name, and let's know the person. And that's how we talk about when we get together in leadership meetings when we're training our staff. Is, how can you serve that person today? Like that person that is walking through the door, you don't know what kind of day they've had. You don't know what's going on at home. Make it personal. Like that person can be having the worst day of their life and you can be that high five and that smile and look them in the eye and say their name. How are you doing today?
There's something about and tell me if I'm wrong. This is just my perspective. There's something about being an owner of Burn that makes you as a human, like the byproduct of caring about other people onto yourself is that when you help people resolve themselves emotionally and you can be that rock and you can be there for them, that starts to also rub off on you. And then, I know I've noticed this in you. You've probably noticed this in me for sure. Even in a short year's time, we've noticed this in each other. That the emotional resilience that we possess as individuals is compounded every time we lean in and help somebody else, or maybe something like that. And I just feel like such an emotionally strong person now today, maybe not as maybe more strong than I was 10 years ago. And I was wondering if this all the interactions from building the gym to getting the paint on the walls to meeting a member for the first time to wondering if you're going to have 150 members at your opening, to all these things as a business owner. It seems like it's inevitable that it just builds you. Mm-hmm. Like it builds your character. You become this resilient human being. And I was just kind of wondering, Gilda, to say that more concisely, is like kind of who were you before Burn and all of that? Mm-hmm. And then how does that transform you? And are you different now?
Yes. I mean, it's a spiritual principle, what you're identifying. It's the law of reaping and sowing. What you plant, what you water, it's going to, in terms of what you harvest, that the result is the harvest, right? So reaping and sowing. And I was a very different person before Burn. I was a Christian. I became a Christian pretty 13, 14 years old, but not really understanding what a relationship with Jesus really was, because of my brokenness, because of my past experience, whatever, my childhood, whatever. I didn't really understand what that looked like. And I kind of walked away from my faith. And it was actually through Brooke Thomas, who you mentioned, one of my best friends from growing up, who we went to high school with as well. She kind of brought me back to the Lord. And I was a materialistic person. I was a person that really didn't care.
Wall Street environment?
I think it was all of it. I mean, I didn't really care the way I care about others, but as I started to grow in my faith and know Jesus more, I mean, I started to change. He's the one that changes your heart. You can do all the self, trying to become personally better, reading books, reading this, but it's a hard change. It's a hard change. So he started to change my heart, and I started to change as a person. And obviously being in this Burn environment helped that a lot, because you're constantly pouring into people. But it is a spiritual principle. You do reap what you sow. So if you sow, not talking to people, not knowing people's names, not really caring about other people, and always just thinking about yourself, guess what? You're going to reap that. Mm-hmm. So, but if you do care, and you are getting to know people and you want to know their story, I genuinely want to know. It's not like it's not hard for me, because this is who I am. Like when I meet you, I want to know about you. Right. I don't want to talk about myself. I want to know about you. Right. So, you reap that. You reap that harvest when you sow that. Yeah. So it's just, of course, it's inevitable. You will change.
Emily.
Yes.
Same kind of principle. I know that's been a shorter time for you, but how has this last year changed your life?
Well, let me back up a little bit there. When I like I said, I've always been pretty much a people person. I've always been someone who loves to talk to people and that type of thing. I think more my story isn't so much of opening this place. And I know I keep going back, but when I started at Burn, I was in the throes of a really hard time with one of my kids. I mean, really, you and I have kind of talked about this. One of my kids, one of my 5, was really struggling with some things. Mental health is a real issue. And going back to the whole, I had a wonderful best friend. I have an incredible sister and mom and a great community there. But I did not have the strength to shoulder what I was walking through with my child. It was a really, really hard thing. And, again, walking and having that 45 minutes and this, that, and the other. And then things, my daughter ended up joining Burn, which was crazy. She dealt with one of the issues she was dealing with was body dysmorphia. She had a pretty severe eating disorder, pretty bad body dysmorphia. So coming into a gym is not really something that someone with that should have, right? But I trusted what was going on at Burn. And what I knew was when she walked in, and I'm going to answer your question. When she walked in and she stepped on that floor, she was going to be surrounded by strong women who were not there to, look perfect or to be perfect. They were there to put something back together in their lives. They were there to get stronger, to get healthier. And the training team and the women around there, my daughter was surrounded by the most incredible women, and she found a lot of healing, and I found healing watching her heal. But what was also happening at the same time was I was gaining this strength and this endurance to know that I could walk alongside this in this journey with her. And so when I stepped into the FP role, the head trainer role, all of this stuff at once, coincidentally, at the exact moment within that, I think it was like the first 2 or 3 weeks of us opening, the wheels came off in my daughter's journey. Mental health recovery, it's not a linear line. It's, a graph. It goes up and down. And unfortunately, she hit a really, really hard patch in her life. And I remember saying, like, God, why now? Like, I've stepped into obedience. I've taken this on. Things have been so good for so long. You've helped me build this strength. I've got, people coming in the doors, and I am here from 5 a.m. until 8 o'clock p.m. How am I going to do this? Because this child needs me, and she needs me. And it was really, really hard because I would step up on that mic and I had to be this for all these people. And they're giving me their stories, and I'm carrying this burden. And I'm thinking, there is no way I am going to be shouldering all of these stories these women are telling me, this responsibility of leading a team, building a community, and taking care of my child and this, that, and the other. But it was because of these last 4 years. And it was because
he expands your capacity.
Yeah, he expanded my capacity. And I all of a sudden was like, those extra reps and those things that I have been told, and I have told members, and what I have been saying over and over, I was now living. I was living it. I was living the things I had been saying. That one more rep is going to make you stronger. I think I said it today. When you walk out, you're going to be a better mother, a better wife, a better sister, a better friend because of your 45 minutes in here. Well, now guess what? I'm being a better mother. I'm going to be this. Every time I tell people, we're going to do hard things in here, because when you go out there, life is going to be hard. And if you do the hard in here, it gets easier out there. Now I'm living that in my actual real life. So all of those things that I had been trained on, and I was training people, became my reality like that. And that was where I saw this change in me. Was I was always high achieving. I was always able to juggle a lot of things. But now my reality became living out, if this is even making sense, living out all of the things that I had been telling people. And the great part about this story was, in January, I didn't know, I didn't even know if my daughter would go to college. I didn't know anything. It was a day-to-day thing. My daughter is living the most incredible. I mean, God stepped in and healed her. There were some amazing things within this community of people not even knowing, giving me things and tools. She's thriving. She's part of a burn in her college town.
Oh, cool. Where's that?
She's in Homewood, Alabama.
Oh,
yeah. So she went to camp this morning. Yep. She actually
great hands.
Yes, she actually texted me this morning that she asked them to work in Child Watch. Because she worked on Child Watch. But what's great, Devan, is that I don't have to worry. I trust where she is. I know the hands that she's in. I know she's going to be loved on. I know that's just the beauty of burn, right? Like I know what she's going to get. And so the long answer to your question that you asked a long time ago is that I didn't even realize the growth and the change I had until the reality of all the things I had poured out into people had to become, I had to live what I was training and teaching, right?
It's like the re-buy-in after the buy-in. Like,
yes. I was like, and then, I think I shared this, we talked about, we had a really tragic thing happen in our gym. Over Thanksgiving, we had a member who I actually trained her first camp years ago at Jupiter. I trained her all the time at 5:45 a.m. I knew her story, became very close.
Amazing woman.
Amazing woman. She bled burn, blood blue. She loved burn. She was at work here 5:20 in the morning, and she unfortunately suffered a brain aneurysm. And she didn't pass in the moment. She passed later on. She actually passed the first day of Holiday Hustle.
Yeah.
So here I am. I get the news, and now I'm running a promotional week, which it's all new people, and I'm in my mind going, how do I tell my staff? How do we grieve this person? But how do we run camp and do this thing that we do with excellence, carrying this burden? And she had signed the 250 wall the day before this happened, and she ended up unfortunately passing away, and it was really, really hard. But what was so amazing was 3 days later, her daughter walks in my doors, and she looks at me and she said, "This place meant the world to my mom. It's all she ever talked about, and I want to work here. Will you hire me?" And I was like, absolutely. And she had her mom's shirt on, and now she works for me. And it's just to have the emotional capacity and the emotional strength to do that and to lead and to go through that. I would have never been able to do any of that had it not been for the 4 years and the years and years of being trained and training and all of that.
Wow, that's powerful. And I mean, we were just looking around the gym today, and there was just this has been 1 year too, and there's just like transformation after transformation after transformation, physically.
Yeah,
and that's what people like to talk about on the surface because it's obvious to see it, right? But I always try to bypass that and be like, yeah, I'm so happy.
The mental.
I'm so happy you're 80, 90 pounds. Congratulations. How do you feel different mentally, emotionally, right?
Yeah.
The physical really is just a symptom of the mental
Isn't
change.
it?
Yeah.
Isn't
absolutely.
it?
Yeah.
Isn't
absolutely.
it?
Their body posture, their body language, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, and let's talk about that because you've been able to see transformations.
Amazing.
It's got to be by the hundreds at this
Amazing,
point.
yes.
And that's just the ones you know about, and that's, so what do you, when you think about that, do you realize the impact, Gilda, that you've had, or like, does it hard? It's almost like when you think about the universe, there's a trillion stars and it's like, I can't even imagine what that looks like. You've had such an impact.
I mean, I'm blessed that the Lord is using me in that way.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You said 1,500 members, roughly?
Roughly 1,500 around over the 3 gyms. It's just amazing. So it's, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless when I think about it. It's not me. It's this amazing team, right? That we're 65. I think there's 65 employees across the 3 gyms, and every single one, whether they're a trainer, a BA, Child Watch, they all do their part because we have this culture, right? Of truly caring, of being a servant, really leading with the servant's heart. And the impact, it's amazing. It's amazing.
So I want to stay on you I'll switch lanes to a business question because whether it's Burn or any of the other millions and millions of business opportunities out there, people always will run across a scenario in which they have an opportunity to partner with somebody else. And I've seen it work really, really, really well. And I've seen it not go so well. And I thought it would be a good place to stop momentarily to just let you guys talk about what the actual business underneath the business is, the operational agreements and things like that. And how do you divide and conquer as your two, forgive me if I'm wrong, but this is the way I look at you guys, 2 alpha women that are working together to build an amazing team and to show up for people. Talk to me about the business partnership, the technical side of it, the nuts and bolts of it, how do you guys show up every day and divide and conquer?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, you can start. Yeah.
Don't give me a checkbook. Don't ever give me a checkbook.
So it's interesting. When we first, made this agreement that we were going to do this, and we kind of both planned to be here. But I had a life event, pretty significant life event in January, the same time Emily was going through. And we had to sit down and figure out how we were going to do this. And Emily looked at me and she was like, I got you. Like, you stay home, you do all the, back end stuff, and I'll be here. And I've said thank you a million times, but she really saved me. She really created that space in my life that I needed in the moment to take care of my family. So that kind of defined the roles for us a little bit. Obviously with 3 gyms, there's a lot of back end stuff that happens. Like, everyone sees what happens in the gym, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And so I'm kind of the one that is dealing with that and taking care of that and kind of moving the gym forward with strategy, things like that. We run level 10s every week. We've got leadership meetings, we got this, we got that. So, and she's really the face person, but she also has a brilliant mind she's got really an administrative gifting and incredibly creative. So she brings a ton to the table when it comes to new ideas and idea generation, what we're going to do next. And so it's great. It works. And we've been very fortunate that I know partnerships don't always work that way. But I think if you have 2 people that, love Jesus first and really kind of operate in that mentality of like, we're not in competition with each other. Like, she has giftings I will never have, and I have giftings she doesn't have. And if both of us are flowing in our giftings and we're allowing each other to do our thing, it works. And yeah, so
Do you ever have you had an instance in which there's been swim lanes crossed and you identify it and talk about it?
I think we had one
Maybe you
argument. Yeah, I remember I was on the beach. I remember we had one argument. And I was like, don't yell at me. I don't remember.
Really?
Yeah, it was something.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
I remember.
No, Emma, that was when you called me.
No, I was, no, that was a day. I was like, Devan, Gilda, go to your corners.
We're always, it's the directness.
Yes. I can't remember what it was about. It doesn't remember. I don't remember what it was about. Anyway.
I don't even remember. That's how
important it was, right?
But I think,
beautiful.
I think that is the key is I think number one, there's a tremendous amount of trust. There's just a tremendous amount of trust. Mm-hmm. And I say trust that Gilda's going to do what it is that is in her lane and what she's going to do. And she is going to trust me. She's not stopping in the gym every single day, looking at what I'm doing, trusting that I'm here, trusting him. I'm not looking at her like, did you submit this ticket? Did you do this? Like there's a level of trust.
No
there.
micromanaging.
There's no micromanaging in that sense. But I also think both of us are very direct people. You know where you're going to stand with me. It gets me in trouble sometimes because I say what's on my mind and I'm very direct because I don't really enjoy gossip. I don't enjoy for things, it's not biblical. It's not right. I don't like things to fester. So I am going to confront you and say, hey, that's why I love the feedback loop so much. I am going to attack the problem, not the person. I'm going to get it out there. We're going to resolve it and we're going to move on. And I think Gilda's the same way. So I think what works really well for us is I can say, hey, XYZ, XYZ, XYZ.
Or this isn't working.
Or this isn't working.
We figure it out.
And we figure it out, And I think that really works really well. She's been able to give me really constructive good feedback in areas, and I've been able to give it to her. And I think it's helped all three gyms as a whole because I have a different perspective coming from being a member to an employee and now a franchise partner. She's got 9 years of experience on me with Burn, but I have new experience. So I think, she's allowed me to come in as a new fresh eyes and has listened to my ideas and encouraged me to get those ideas. And she's built me up in that. She's never been like, well, I've done this for 9 years. I've done this for 7 years. That doesn't work. She hasn't put me down on it. She's allowed me to rise up into it and encourage me to bring that to the team. But in the same token, she's also been able to say, I think that's a great idea. Let me give you why that's not going to work or why it's going to work, how we can improve upon it. So I think there's a tremendous level of trust. Mm-hmm. I think there's a tremendous level of communication that goes on between us. But I also think there are very different giftings. Mm-hmm. And that is a key. I would die if I had to sit at a desk. I would die if I had to look at...
I stand at a desk.
Yeah.
I have a standing desk.
I would die if I had to look at a spreadsheet. And I'm not kidding. Like, if you give me a checkbook, we will be closed in a month.
We refine each other. We really do.
Yeah.
And I think she said it on point, is that there's a tremendous amount of trust between us. Mm. So, like, there's always good faith. Like, if she's going to... There's nothing that she can say or do that's going to offend me to the point where... Because there's just good faith. Like, I know her, and... we'll work it out. Mm-hmm. If there's an issue, we work it out. So,
figure it out. It's figure outable.
Everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
I know what it was about. It was because I kept saying my team. And you're like, it's our team.
Yes.
I kept,
Emily.
If that's the worst of your problems,
team.
we're good.
Yeah,
we're good to go.
I remember it was like, you keep saying, is there a reason? I was like, gosh, but I didn't even notice. I said, Gilda, I didn't even know I was doing that.
Yeah.
But it is.
But it wasn't like angry.
It wasn't angry.
Like,
no.
Hey, I just want to, because I want, listen, when you're a leader, right, the way that you communicate with your staff, with each other, everything is really important because it sets the tone for the rest of the people around you. We want to always be in unity, no matter what we do. Right. And so it wasn't really important to me. It's like, I'm offended because you didn't say our. Yeah. It was more of like, listen, it matters how you communicate. Right. Yeah. It matters that you say our because we're one. We're one in this, right? Like, it makes us a stronger team. Mm-hmm. So it came from that part.
Do you even take that as far as to when you're in front of your team and you don't use our team, you use our
team? Exactly.
Yeah.
Because and that's the thing, like, we're doing this podcast and it's like, how does it feel? You made so much impact. It's really not about me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about this team that we've built that is, everyone plays a part in it. There's no one everyone plays a part in it. And so it's like, we get to sit up here and be the face, but it's we don't do it all.
Right.
We don't do it all. It's this amazing team we have around us.
And our amazing husbands who are who are in the background.
Yeah, amazing.
65 of us, and it takes all of us. And you're doing exactly what I would expect you to do as the amazing leaders you are. But I also have to be the one that gives you the credit too, because every ship has a captain, and the captain's not down under the deck engineering the motor or whatever. But that captain, in the shots that they call, are very important because it sets the direction for the ship.
Yeah.
And so from my perspective, I am allowed to give you guys some kudos, and hopefully you'll take it a little bit, because you do deserve it. And I think it's important this is the Proud Tour, right? I think I heard somebody who was speaking about being a good dad say this. They said, stop telling your kids how proud you are of them. Start telling them how proud they should be of themselves. And I thought about that for a while. And I thought, you know what? If I teach my sons to tell themselves how proud they are, I'm now creating independence rather than you always needing me. Here I am saying, I'm proud of you, son. And it's like, oh, that's such a nice dad thing to say. But the undertone of that, my and our, is that I'm creating this dependence, or I'm unintentionally portraying something that I didn't want to portray, even though it was out of the goodness of my heart. Is there any, I know a few key people you've already mentioned today. Is there anybody that's been here for, since the very beginning that has been an intricate part of this, on the training team or on the ops team, that has
Amanda.
Okay, yeah, cool. And by the way, for everybody else, there's other 64 of you that are not named Amanda. This doesn't mean that you're not an important part of that. I put them on the spot to just ask them a question, because I wanted to do what you were saying and give you guys the opportunity to talk about somebody who is amazing on your team. So Amanda.
So you want me to take this?
Yes.
Okay.
So like I said, when we were first getting ready to open, and I had I don't know if it was the problem, I should say, but everybody I was looking to hire.
You're talent searching.
Yes, when I was talent searching. But the issue I was having was everybody that I was looking at, I had this backdrop, right? So when I was looking at an ops manager, what was my backdrop? It was Alexis. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, I have to find an Alexis. How do you find another Alexis? Like, that's really hard to do. And so, that was a blessing because I had this standard, but it was also a curse because I'm like, how do you meet that standard? So, I was driving along one day, and literally the name Amanda came in my head, and I was like, Amanda Hollingsworth? I have not spoken to her in quite a while. We went to church years ago, but I just felt like God was like, this is who you need to hire. So I called her up out of the blue. I'm like, hey, it's Emily, and I'm opening a gym, and I want you to work for me. And she was like, hey, how are you? I haven't talked to you in a while. Like that was how the conversation went. And she said, well, I said, yeah, I know your kids just graduated. Like, you're ready to do something, right? And she's like, well, I actually just got my travel agent certificate. I've just formed my LLC yesterday. I'm going to be doing this. So I'm really not interested. But, I'll keep you in mind. And
Emily doesn't take no for
And I was like, all right. Yeah. So I was kind of like, okay. And I just kept, the full court press. And I just said, all right. So
just come try it.
She called me she did. She called me 3 or 4 days later, and she's like, my husband, as soon as I hung up the phone, was like, why would you say no? It's, Emily's going to do something great. Why would you, I don't know.
Well, she had a bad experience, I think. And that's why she didn't necessarily want to go back into the fitness.
Yeah, she had a bad experience in the fitness world. So anyways, I said, look, just come take a camp at Jupiter with me. Come take a camp. She took a camp, and she looked at me. She said, I'm in. I'm absolutely in. So that's kind of started our journey. I don't know that I would have survived this first 365 days without her. And yes, it is not just Amanda. There's a whole team of people behind her, but there are very few people who will ever love your business the way you love your business. Amanda loves
She's one of them.
This business the way I love it. She loves it as if it is hers. She treats it as if it is hers. She knows my members' stories, our members' stories. See, there I went.
Good job, Emily. You're doing so great.
High five.
Yeah, 5. Very nice.
She knows our members' stories as well as I do. And she wants their stories. And she has only been in Burn Nation for 1 year, and she was thrown in like, you know, but she had to live up to this expectation that probably wasn't realistic, because I was putting her against an expectation of Karina and Alexis, who had been in the system for 9 and 5 years. And day one, I'm expecting her to do those things. Now, Amanda's like me. She will tell me, and she's like, Emily, you are, you know, she and I have a very, very direct relationship. We talk pretty much every single day, multiple times a day. We get to our L10s and we're like, what is there to talk about? We have nothing to talk about because we've already talked about it. That's how our L10s go. But she is a people's first integrity type of person. And so I really say that with all of my heart, that I would not have survived this time with her, because there are many times she just held me up. She pushed me along. She encouraged me. She loved me. So selfless, coming in, things like that. True story. We had an HQ site visit from our franchise business coach at the time. And I remember, you know, everybody did their thing. And then he slides up next to her, opens his computer, and she looks at him and goes, just so you know, I do not have to be here. I do not have to work. Which is such an Amanda thing to say. And I'm like,
well, because it's a vocation.
It's a vocation.
Like I feel like that is like a common quality.
Yes.
For all our leaders and the people that
yes.
work for us. It becomes a vocation.
Yes.
So it's not about a paycheck.
Yes.
It's not about this. They love what they do.
And that's what she was saying in that moment. She's like, I don't have to be here. Yeah. But I choose to be here because she loves it. She loves what she does. So that would be my shout out. I mean, obviously I've given Alexis, Andrea, Rebecca, Karina, the leadership team and all of that. And I have a really remarkable
Well, you didn't have to be at Jupiter. You had a much better paying job.
I had a much better pay.
A huge pay cut.
You had a huge pay cut to become a
come work for us.
Yeah. It's funny as you say that, because as soon as you said that, what went through my mind, I was like, well, that's obvious, because it's a mere reflection of leadership.
Yeah.
You guys show up with that vocation as well. And so it makes sense that your team would reflect that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think 2 more areas that I want to explore with you guys. I think the first area that I want to explore is what do you, here's a question. What would you want a member, just say an ideal member, if you could package everybody's personality into one kind of like avatar person, and they would come up to you after camp, and they have 1 minute to like tell you something. What would make you the most fulfilled to hear? Since you're not here for money, this isn't a money thing. This is your vocation. This is your commitment. This is your servanthood. This is your plan. This is God's plan that you're fulfilling, the steward of that, like we've talked about. What would you want them to say? And then you go, oh, that's the best payment I could ever receive.
I would want them to say something along the lines that I never thought I could do X, Y, Z, but now I know I can. That's what I look when I think about the impact. I think a lot of times we see ourselves as such a tiny percentage of what God made us to be. And when I start seeing that in someone, that they're doing things that they never thought they could do, it's going to translate in other areas of their life. So that's, for me, that's the biggest impact, is when someone is able to do or sees themselves as able to do something that they never thought they could do.
Absolutely.
Simple is sophisticated.
It's so simple. Because if they do the hard in here, they're going to do the hard out there.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? So it's just, they'll be, again, becoming the best version of you, right? The best version of you is different than the best version of me, because we're 2 totally different, unique people. And so I think a lot of times the world tells us that we have to be like this or like that or like that. And you know, this person or that person's successful, but your unique gifting is yours. God gave it to only you, right? And so when that person starts to see, like, I can do that. Oh, wow. Like, and then they push a little harder. You know, hopefully they're doing that in their outside life as well.
It has
and
to
those
spill
giftings, right? It become more real to them.
Yeah.
And it can confidence in those giftings.
I love that perspective. That's a great answer, Gilda.
That's awesome.
I wasn't really looking for anything. I was just wondering what you guys were going to say. That's a good, man, because as I think about being a trainer and what my outcome is, it's to translate fitness as a metaphor for life.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been talking about it, but it's just like,
You've always said that.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why I did this, because it made so much sense to me. It's like sometimes in life we just need the opportunity, right? Or whatever that vehicle is to show us that we're so much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
We're so much more able. We have so much more capacity than we think we have.
Yeah.
And you don't know when you're going to use it.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
Like you said, you don't know when you're going to use it and when you're going to have the opportunity. But when that opportunity comes,
You'll be ready.
you're ready.
Yes, you're ready. And so that's huge.
What about?
Well, following that answer is like you having to follow my camp.
Yeah. Well, now that's a funny joke. Now I'm paying you back. I'm paying you back now. It was a hard act to follow.
Yes.
I was nervous. I wasn't nervous going into it until I saw you train. I'm like, oh, okay. I gotta really bring it here. So
Good.
no, it's great. I love it.
That's a really hard one for me. I am not someone who receives encouraging words well.
No, she doesn't. I have to do it all the time just to get her used to it.
Yeah, I get really uncomfortable with
I like
words.
to me, encouragement is somebody believes in me enough that they're willing to yell at me because I'm not doing the right things that are going to get me to where I want to go. Not everybody has that attitude, but all my coaches that I ever respected were always like, you can do more. You're not doing enough. You're leaving yourself on the table. I think you're too talented to do that, or I love you too much to do that. You're going to do this. Or if you don't, at least I told you, right? Like that's the type of love that I like.
And to me, honestly, as a trainer, the thing that I always feel like, wow, I've really done something is when someone trusts me. When they trust me and I say, you can pick that up and they just do it because they trust you. Gosh, that's to me is like, that's when I know I've really made the impact, is when they just make that trust, because, and that takes time, for them to trust you.
You've earned their trust.
You've earned their trust.
That's
so
huge.
That's a really big thing. For me, I think it really goes back to, and I think I talked about this earlier in camp, is us making generational changes, right? And if someone was to say to me, like, this place changed my life in a way that now I am going to change someone else's, or I'm going to change the trajectory of someone else's life, especially if that's generational change. We have quite a few single moms in our community, and single moms who have really heartbreaking stories, stories of abuse, addiction, and abandonment. We have it. I sit back there and I see it. And they come in here at 5:45 p.m. after working all day, and they're dragging these kids in here. They're getting that just 45 minutes to themselves. And now they're going home and they've got pajamas, they've got homework, they've got this all by themselves. And to think that they're, the easy thing would be to go home, but they're doing that for themselves. And I think, gosh, how hard that is. But they're doing it not by choice, but because something has happened. And to know that they're walking out now a better mom, but there's this generational change, an example that they're going to pass on to their sons and daughters of strength and purpose and belief and all of those things. And to know that I've had a part of that, or, the husband and wife that come in and they choose to work out together side by side, and their kids are seeing that community together. We have a lot of people who move to our area. Florida's kind of the hotbed to move. Moms that come in lonely and they don't know anyone, and they're showing their kids it's okay to step into a new environment. I know you have to go to school. I'm going to a new place too. So knowing that there has been this change in them, that they're now going to pass that change on, either by the way they've impacted someone out or just within their world. That's going to make some type of generational change. And, I think about like that whole, link, all those links together. And, there's that broken link and now they're putting it back together and they're just making this, generational change. I think about that in my own life. I came from a broken family and a single mom, and I'm a statistics. I should have been divorced, and great relationship with both my parents. I have a healthy divorce, but I've made a generational change now in my kids' trajectory. They have a 80% less chance of getting divorced because they've grown up in a family together. And so I've been able to pass that on. So to know that my members can do that too because of something that's happened in here is really, I think,
It's incredible. It's incredible.
That's incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I think a nice way to finish the podcast today would just to give you a floor again. And you've now had thousands of people who have taken millions of workouts, in your case, Gilda. And if you had an auditorium of, what Jordan, on average, we get about 10,000 viewers on a podcast or something along those lines, roughly in there. All right. So if you had a room full of 10,000 people and you were having to give your sign off, advice or inspiration or your own personal vision or ambition to inspire them, I just wanted to. You guys are two inspiring people to me. Every time that I see what you're doing, I always get that little spark, and you got fiery personalities, and I am too, and I get motivated by that. And so I thought it'd be good to give you guys each an opportunity to just talk to Burn Nation, like talk to our members. It's pretty crazy. Morgan and I were at the Panthers playoff game, which is the first one we've made in a long time. So we were excited, but we lost. We got our soul snatched from us by Matthew Stafford and the Rams.
I'm a Gator fan. It doesn't get worse than that.
Why was I telling you that?
Something you were going to say to you and Morgan were going to say at a Panthers game?
Oh, yeah. So Morgan and I I forgot why I brought the Panthers game in, but oh, no, now I remember why. So we were at the Panthers game and we were like, hey, we looked at Domo and we have 150,000 members, 156,000 with Burn On Demand. And I was like, hey, Brian, my buddy, how many people does this stadium hold? And he was like, 70,000. I go, more.
2.
Wow.
We got 2 of these.
And a little bit more.
And a little bit more in Burn Nation. And
crazy.
both of us were like inspired by that, like really inspired by that. So if you had 2 football stadiums full of Burn members to talk to, I just was wondering what you would want to leave them with today. Gilda, you can go first. Emily, you can go next, and then I'll take us out.
I mean, what just keeps coming to my mind is yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And why not? Stop listening to the noise. Stop listening to what the world tells you. Whatever your situation is, whether you're a single mom or you're going through a divorce or you're in addiction or your life is great, there's more. There's more. There's more for you. And if you don't have a faith, I would encourage you and I'd invite you to get to know Jesus because he will change your life forever. There's not, I mean, having been on both sides, having lived without him in my life and within my life, I mean, it's an adventure. That is so fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can do it.
Awesome.
Adventure, I thoroughly love being on with you, by the way. Emily?
I mean, ditto absolutely to that. I think, being a woman of faith is the anchor. So definitely would absolutely ditto what she said. I think really I would love for Burn Nation and for our members to know that there is intentionality and there's a reason for the intentionality for the things that we do. And I would love for them to know that. One of the things I tell people out when they walk in and they're nervous, I said, look around, there's no mirrors. That was a big thing for me. Because this is not a place where you need to be looking at that mirror and seeing someone else. It is about you on this floor and what you're about to become and do on this floor. And that's with purpose. It's designed with purpose. We say all the time, the high fives, there's a reason we say high five. There's a reason we say yes. And I think if our members lean into the intentionality of the things that we do here, they're going to unlock such an intentionality and purpose within themselves. There's and I think that is something that we kind of overlook because when you first walk into your first camp, it's like they're high-fiving. I mean, it's very awkward when someone walks in the door and you do this and they put their hand up. You put your hand up to high five and they have their hand out to shake you. And I'm like, we high five here,
Just take their hand and move it up.
It's kind of, and I'm not the one who then goes for the shake. I'm just like, you're in my space. So you're in high five.
Just hang it there awkwardly.
I do. That's me. So, but I think that I don't know that our members who have been members for a long time or have been coming back, that they've ever really stopped to think about the intentionality behind this. And I don't want them to lose that. I don't want them, because then the make sense, say yes becomes mundane. The high fives just becomes something that they do. The, saying someone's name, the time, it just, I don't want it ever to become routine. I don't want it to become, that's what Burn does. You're part of that group. I don't, we wear merch with pride. I mean, have you ever seen a gym that wears merch like us? I mean, I don't think I see it anywhere, I
need a whole new closet. Just
yes. I mean, we wear merch with pride. We buy nutrition with pride. Like, I don't think anyone else does that. And I think sometimes when you've been in it for a while, it just becomes what we do in mundane. And I want them to remember that there's intentionality and purpose behind it, because when they really lean into the intentionality and purpose, it unlocks an entire new level of greatness within them, but also what Burn is going to pour into them. It's good. So
beautiful answers. I think that is an amazing place to stop right there, you guys. Thank you so much for being here today and inviting me. Yes, you get a round of applause from producer Jordan. Let's go. All right. And I've just had such a great time here. First time at North Palm Beach, and won't be the last. Thanks for letting me interview you here on our makeshift travel set. Yeah. And for those of you out there who are tuning in, I know so many of you like to binge watch the podcast. You can check out last week's episode. We talked about my number one tip for productivity. It's not what you think it is. And I'll be curious what yours would be, but I'm pretty sure they'd agree with a lot of the stuff that we talked about on that. So go ahead, binge watch that. Click it right here. Thank you guys so much. If you're in the area, go see these two at their gym. We'll link their Instagram below.
Awesome.
Emily Edwards and Gilda with the G, not a J, Gilda Green. Okay. And we'll link their Instagram in case you have any questions that you want to ask. I'm sure they would be happy to connect with you. And until next time, keep moving.
High five. Let's go.
On two. Let's go.
Okay. Let's do it.
High fives too.
High fives.